Good afternoon, everyone. The March 21st, 2025 SANDAG Public Safety Committee meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our interpreter to walk us through how to access our interpretation services for today's meeting. Please go ahead.
Announcement from the interpreter. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, the world, and select English as your language. If you are if you are joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the ellipsis, the 3 dots, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish low in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you are in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Aviso por parte del intérprete. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, el globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, 3 puntitos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio, silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. The interpreter has finished the instructions in English and Spanish. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Interpreter. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge new members. We have Eileen Delaney. I'm not sure if Eileen is here. Not here, but we definitely have Paul Domkowski sitting at the end next to the marshal. He's here with the Association of Planning Groups. They represent the different planning groups from the several parts of San Diego County that are in the unincorporated regions. So obviously we need that feedback in this, specifically in this group, but we'd like to welcome him for being here today. Thank you, Paul. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region has historically faced. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and the homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 main cultural groups, the Kumeyaay, Digueño, Luiseño, Copeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. And as members of the Sandag Argis community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. I would ask the Marshal to join us, please, and offer up the Pledge of Allegiance this morning, or this afternoon.
Which is stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we jump into the meeting, I'll ask the clerk to confirm that we have a quorum. Cami?
Yes, Chair, we have quorum.
Okay. Do we have any non-agenda public comments?
We have 2 public comments. And Blair Beekman, you may go first, followed by the original draw.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. It's important. I'm sitting down here with people banging things around. Sorry about that. I have my usual words at this time are about the ideas. Hold on a sec. Can't close the door. Okay, my usual words at this time is, the importance of tech accountability, the work we do, the efforts we do, it's important at this time with the new administration. I guess you're feeling the sense of how worried people are about what to expect from ICE agents and the like in the upcoming year. So it'll be a really important meeting today that we'll be talking about ARGIS issues. Really good luck in the efforts to handle it sensitively and realize that to always be working towards more accountable practices with tech and data collection is really important at this time. And to convey that and to understand the subject matter, good luck how we can work on that together in this coming year. I wanted to mention the city of San Diego. I've been on a big kick for the past year that their parks department has to be more clear about what technology they're placing in their parks. It's difficult to say sometimes, because the future of biometric technology in our communities is a subject that's been around ourselves, but we don't know how to better talk about. Good luck how that conversation can become more easy and clear to have it an open conversation. We're still kind of in a fearful stage. It's a regular part of our lives, and it's a regular part of North San Diego County issues of senior centers and stuff. Good luck how we can make it a more regular conversation in our day-to-day conversations. Thanks.
Thank you. Original draw will be followed by the phone number ending in 731. Original draw, go ahead.
There is a major problem with the CPS, child welfare services, the foster care system. Children are being trafficked and kidnapped from their parents. These parents are being alienated. They are jumping through every hoop possible to get their children back and be reunified. However, that is not happening on a massive scale. And this doesn't just include San Diego. This includes the nation. And there's a problem because these children are being raped or sexually assaulted, abused physically. And instead of protecting these children, they're being given either psychotropic drugs or antipsychotic drugs at the ages of, as young as 4 and up, probably even younger than that. It's a major problem that is happening. The judges, the guardian ad litems, the counselors, the attorneys, are all involved. The social workers are all involved in this. And whistleblowers have come forward from CPS that were told that they were supposed to lie on the documents to make sure that the parents couldn't get their children back. And the hoops that the parents have to go through as far as doing drug screening, they'll do it over and over and over, be clean, and that's not good enough. They are taking these children out of the country on trips to Europe and South America without the parents' consent, without them knowing exactly whose hands they're going into. And when we know there's a huge human trafficking element, that is terrifying to think about. And it's very sad to see that just parents going and trying to bring light to this to the FBI. The FBI called the police on them and also called out the PERT team, the psychiatric evaluation response team, because parents are trying to fight to get their children back. And then we have officials like that putting even more trauma on the parents because they're trying to save their kids.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Phone number ending in 731. Go ahead.
It's Truth. Ed, you ran a little bit of a train wreck last meeting when public input was reduced to 60 seconds, like we're in the old toxic SANDAG days. That needs to not happen again. That's part of why I'm not in person. I'm not interested in wasting my energy on games. Here's a topic for Tony to cover: suicide prevention. A friend of mine apparently took his own life. He may not have known it, but he was an incredibly valuable person. Director Jim Ellis received a grant from the California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training to create a documentary entitled Keeping the Peace that was used in law enforcement wellness curriculum. If and when there's a memorial service, I would hope that law enforcement and DA Summer would attend, show their respect, and share their stories. I don't have the info yet, but I can email it when I know. Kelly, I saw you on the news again with ABC 10. You mentioned the environmental terrorist in the 90s. That's still an issue today, hence most of the fires we've been seeing. You also mentioned mass shootings like Columbine or Santana. Well, so many of these children who committed these crimes were on SSRIs like Prozac. Others, such as the one in Aurora, had parents who were involved in brain experiments. And some of the latest shootings have involved children who were on new testosterone drugs that are known to cause much the same as SRIs, suicidal and homicidal thoughts. Since the 1960s, the constant flow of newly created psychotropic drugs by certain alphabet agencies have been destroying the minds of our country's people, from LSD to crack to meth to fentanyl. Can local law enforcement start arresting these agencies engaged in terrorism? The CIA comes to mind. About sexually violent predators, can we get some stats on how many are being dumped in the backcountry of East County? Is anyone pushing to change the legislation to make sure that if these criminals who should have gotten the death penalty are to be housed outside of a prison cell, that their new home should be next to prisons? So far, there's been no discussion here of how to change and improve things. I want more policy and solution updates at these meetings rather than just stats of crimes and victims. How about less victims? Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment.
I want to thank the members of the public for their comments, and Audra and Truth will do our best to hold to the 2-minute commentary period and not start the watch too soon. So do we have any member comments before we get started?
Yes, sir. Torino Valdivinos, Chief of Police, Oceanside.
Yes, Chief.
I'd like to provide a summary of the key discussions from the ARGIS Chiefs meeting in March. So first, we received an update on ARGIS projects, specifically Live 911 and narrative sharing. Live 911 continues to move forward, which will enhance real-time emergency response, allowing for faster and more effective dispatching. The status of the narrative sharing was also discussed. Agencies are currently working on policies and procedures. This is a valuable tool for improving interagency information sharing, helping to streamline investigative processes. Next, we received and recommended the ARGIS budget for approval at today's Public Safety Committee. This budget ensures ARGIS can continue to support our law enforcement agencies with critical data and technology resources. We also received an update from Dr. Rodriguez on the 2024 Crime Data Report. The report is progressing, and we are briefed on its status and the next steps. And lastly, we approved updated charter language for the business working group, which had not been revised since 2005. These updates ensure the charter reflects current operational needs and priorities. That concludes the summary of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other member comments on non-agenda items or agency updates? Hey, seeing no hands, I'll now hand it over to our director, Tony Ray, for his update.
Good afternoon, everybody. Item 3 update. Oh. Hello, everybody. Mario Orso, our CEO, could not be here today. He's out of office, but he asked me to share some comments with you, and I'm happy to do that. And Mario says, hi, everyone. Welcome. There's some exciting news. ARGIS this year is celebrating its 45th anniversary. And if you think back, ARGIS started the concept in the 1970s. It went live in 1980. ARGIS was primarily a paper and pencil organization with some pen, documents, rulers, and typing. And now we've developed into virtual servers and moving into the cloud, which is not really a cloud, but it's a cloud called a cloud. It's just not like a ring cloud, but it's out there. If you're a technical person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of technology has happened, and ARGIS continues year by year by year to try to stay even with or ahead of the technology so we can do the best job we can servicing our folks. And also this year, and Director Tony Ray, me, will give you an update on 2 of the projects that we have in just a little bit in that area. We'd also like to let everybody know that SANDAG is encouraging people to bike to work, bike to school, bike to anywhere on May 15th, which is Bike Awareness Day, and registration is open if you'd like to register, and you can check it out. It's sandag.org/bike month. That's sandag.org/bike month to learn more about that information. Also, very important in terms of the move, SANDAG has been cleared to occupy the new office at the West Building just earlier this week. So the movement is happening frantically to get people and stuff and things over there. Public safety meetings will continue to be held in this room until March 28th. And then the first meeting at the new location at the West Building, which I believe is 1011 Union Street, will be on April 3rd. So today, we are here to participate in the last Public Safety Committee meeting in this building, which is also a big deal. And lastly, SANDAG's main office and customer service center are going to be closed on Monday, March 31st for Cesar Chavez Day in honor of. And that's my report, sir. I'm sorry, that's Mario's report, sir.
Thank you, Director. Do we have any member comments? If none, I'd like to first acknowledge that there is a noted error in the minutes review from today. The error is in item 7. Our clerk is aware of the error, and if approved, will amend the minutes accordingly. Cami, any public comments on this item?
Yes, we have one public comment on this item. Oh, 2 public comments. Blair Beekman, you'll be followed by the original draw. Blair, go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I'm assuming this is a time.
Blair, I apologize. You got cut off there. Can you please start again? Can we please restart his 2 minutes?
Thank you very much. Thank you. For clarity, is this time to comment on the consent agenda?
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, good. All right. So thank you very much. An overall thank you to offering the report of Mario and what we can do for this one. I am interested in how Argis has been kind of initial leader in how to work the concepts of data collection. And like I said, tried to say earlier, good luck that this can be a time of sensitivity and clarity in explanations of how Argis practices can work. I think people really need it. They like to hear clarity in the Argis program. Good luck in those efforts. I guess about the meeting minutes, I would like to hear exactly what exactly the meeting minutes issues is about. You had an item on human trafficking last time that DRA really spends a lot of time on. I feel if we focus on the subject areas of worker rights issues, fair wage issues, wage theft, and human trafficking, I think that's a really important combination to address for the future of San Diego, and it gives a real focus on how to address important issues in San Diego that we're a bit afraid to, I think, address better at this time. We're trying to figure out how to organize ourselves. I think that's a way to organize ourselves well for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The original draw, go ahead.
Appreciate your words, Ed. I wanted to bring up the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force item that was on the agenda, and I'm sad that I missed it. But it's interesting the way you guys talk about these things and virtue signal as though you are actually combating the issue. But we've had one of the largest human trafficking events with the invasion on the border that nobody wants to talk about. Not only is it the adults that are coming across, but the children as well. And we have these shelters that are supposed to be used for children, like Southwest Key Program, that have been that are in the county of San Diego, 3 of them, 2 in El Cajon, 1 in the city, and 1 in the unincorporated area, and 1 in Lemon Grove, that need to be addressed. They're shutting them down in Texas because they have been trafficking these children, and you guys don't ever address that. So it's pretty crazy when you can leave such huge organizational trafficking events out, and even the child protective services, like I'm saying. So, I mean, you on the surface, it looks good, like you're doing something, but when you don't acknowledge the things like that and the fact that this is happening right now as we speak, like there are children being raped, and we're just ignoring it. I mean, instead of fixing the problem, because it's within the agencies that are within the government, you're never really going to fix the problem if you don't acknowledge the ones that are engaged in it. And that would mean that you guys are complicit. And so in your unwillingness to even say anything about it or do anything about it, you're just as bad as the perpetrators that are doing it to the people. And so you guys need to be looking into all that's happened with the invasion on the border, all of the human trafficking, especially with the children in these quote unquote shelters, they call them. And through the CPS and the judges, the attorneys, the guardian ad litems, like the social workers, like I said before in the other non-agenda. So until then, all of this is just, you know, stuff.
Thank you. Your time has expired, and that concludes public comment.
Thank you. And for the members here, item 7 reflects that a particular presentation that we had set for last meeting shows that it was presented, and it obviously was not. It was carried over to today. The minutes will be corrected and the presentation will be given today. So do we have any member comments? Okay. If there are no objections, may I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the amendment to the minutes? We have a motion and a second. Thank you very much, council member. Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Anderson and a second by Councilmember Molina. Please go ahead and enter your vote with your clicker. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for abstain, but on the approval of minutes, you can still vote for that. It's not an action item other than approval of the minutes.
And that motion passes with the members present.
Thank you very much. I'll move on to item 3 in the agenda, and I think we have this one specific to the director. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Chair and members of Public Safety Committee. I'd like to give you just an update on ARGIS in 3 specific areas. One will be the MOVE, and then I'll talk briefly about the Live 911 project and our cloud transformation grant project, 2 of which we just recently completed. The MOVE, man, am I glad this is just about over. We've been working on this for almost a year, knowing that this was going to happen, because we have to not only physically move our people into a new workstation, but we also have to move the network, the ARGIS Enterprise. The ARGIS Enterprise would be all the circuits, the routers, the firewalls, everything that allows us to receive, work with, and then share information among 65 state, local, and federal agencies in this region right in here. So it took time, probably 3 to 5 months for, and I want to give a shout out to our network engineer, Min. He carried the heavy load on most of the technical part of what's going on. He had to set up a home in our new data center. We had 2 data centers, one here in this building and one at the National Law Enforcement Telecommunications Systems in Phoenix, Arizona, or NLETS. And that was created in 2012. I wasn't here, so I can't tell you why that happened, but that was where half our data centers there, and then half is here. So we're moving out of this building. So we're physically, the people, moving to the west building, but our network is moving to the sheriff's data center. And we picked the sheriff's data center because it's much more secure than a commercial building. And though we can lock our door and we can, have pass keys, the commercial building can still give us 24 hours of notice and come in and do any kinds of inspections. And the federal requirements say that someone who has not been law enforcement backgrounded cannot have access to the equipment or hear the data or things of that nature. So there was 2 big parts of the move. Well, yesterday we finished the physical move. ARGIS moved itself yesterday from this building to we're 99% done. Our people everything is set up on the other side for us to begin nearly. And as soon as this meeting is over, Cammie and I, Linda, Noy, Min and Frank will finish decommissioning the building that we have on the 5th floor here. The suite. And by tonight, we'll be out of this building completely. So that part of the move is good. The circuits, what it took to move the circuits was a lot of work, because we had to build a home in the sheriff's department for each one of the circuits that we have. And the circuits are how we connect with the customer agencies. Most of them, a few we do through a virtual private network through the internet, but the majority are circuits. So about 3 weeks ago, we had an employee in Phoenix, an employee here, an employee at the new building, and then an employee at the police department, because at the San Diego Police Department, we still have a number of circuits at that building from when ARGIS was created in 1980, and those circuits were built up at that part. And one at a time, we had to disconnect a circuit here, reconnect it over at the other place, and then point our customer agencies from looking here to looking over at the sheriff's data center, and then also at Phoenix at the NLET center. That was one at a time, circuit change, firewall change, router change, and et cetera. It took several days. And it worked. And then we had to test the circuit, and it worked very well with minimal obstruction. And when I say obstruction, some of our customer circuits were down for 15, 20, 30 minutes, but we did it on low times of the day, so it didn't really affect too much. And that worked. Everything is moved but one circuit. That's the California Department of Justice circuit that we receive criminal justice information through. we're not allowed to move that circuit until we get permission from the California Department of Justice in this building, and we have to be out by the end of April. So about 3 hours ago, I received the permission that we do have the ability. They've approved us to move the circuit. So now we're working with the Sheriff's Department, California Department of Justice, and AT&T to coordinate a move date when we can have that happen. And I think today we believe it's going to be on April 15th, which will be 2 weeks before we absolutely have to be out of this building. So it's like a race where you're barely making it. And I'll sleep well on April 16th when that finally happens. In terms of the new building, where we're going to be, here we had over 30 circuits. There we're only going to have 2 circuits. And the network setup at the new building is only going to be for ARGIS employees to be able to connect to our data services in the Sheriff's Department and in Phoenix. Here, we have the customers connecting in this location, but we've changed that so that if power goes down at the new building, because it is a commercial building, our networks will not be affected over it, and that's where they have redundant backup systems, generators, et cetera, to keep our things going. So we think this is going to be a better system, a more secure system, and today will be the last day of physically moving people. Within a few weeks, we should have the circuit done. Again, that was a very big move for us. And if you ever moved a house, it was just like that. Because on moving day, some people just didn't pack their stuff in boxes, and we had all those discussions that you normally have with your wife or children when those kinds of things happen. But it was good. That was the move. In terms of Live 911, before Noy and I came, there was a grant written, and we called it the fiscal 22-year grant. So in 2021, somebody wrote a grant for the fiscal year 2022, and the money would arrive in 2023. We were told, Noy and I were, that the Live 911 grant was done. It was not active. So we made no effort to do anything with this. And then we found out during this last fiscal year that, oh, no, it's still there. It's still alive. Well, the grant was initially intended to install a Live 911 program, which I'll explain to you, to the Oceanside Police Department, Chula Vista Police Department, the National City Police Department, and the El Cajon Police Department. Well, since nobody here was working on it, the Oceanside Police Department and the Chula Vista Police Department did it themselves. They got it up and running. Well, we came back onto the grant. We found out that we still had the 2 agents. So Noy worked, we hired a annuitant, but Noy worked on this program. And that grant was recently completed, like within the last couple of weeks, I believe. What the Live 911 does is, this is how it works. Normally, when if Mr. Shin were to call 911, someone would answer the phone and talk to him, and while he would be reporting whatever was happening, that phone taker would be typing in information and hitting enter and taking information, enter, and that enter goes to the radio dispatcher, who then would call the officer and have that officer respond to the call. The phone dispatcher is sending the information out to the officer for all the officers to see, but specifically the 1 or 2 that are answering. So the person is talking to the reporting party, Mr. Shin, and I would collect it and send it off to the radio dispatcher, and the radio dispatcher would send it out to the people. And that's how law enforcement works. A continual stream of information going from the person calling in to the person on the phone, to the dispatcher, to the responding officers in the field. What Live 911 does is it's a program that allows the responding officer in a car to hit a button, and they can actually hear the actual 911 call. Now, what that does is it allows the officer to hear the emotions, maybe the background noises, maybe to hear the entire call, and maybe pick up something that may not have been added in the typing that goes on over. And they can play that call over and over and over again while they're en route to the call to get the information aside from what they're given by the dispatcher. And notice when the dispatcher sends information, you're not supposed to read and drive at the same time. But officers learn how to read and drive because that's where the information is, or taught. Oceanside and the Oceanside Police Department and Chula Vista Department said this is phenomenal in terms of how it has helped the responding officers go. So we're grateful that we finally finished that grant project. It's a completion, and we'll report back to you in about 6 months to let you know how El Cajon Police and the National City Police Department are doing with that project. The last thing I wanted to let you know is we finished from that same grant year, our phase 2 of our cloud migration. And what this did was it reestablished, I say reestablished because we tried and then we had to do it over again. Our landing zone, or our house, or our space, or our plantation, or our ranch, or whatever you want to call it, it's the location where ARGIS is going to work in the cloud. And we chose Microsoft's CSSA cloud, or the California State Law Enforcement Association's cloud. California State Sheriff's Association created a law enforcement cloud for law enforcement agencies. So we went to this cloud because they build into the cloud the current and the update security standards based on the California Law Enforcement Telecommunications System and the Federal Criminal Justice Information Service. Those are the 2 agencies in the state and the federal governments that define the regulations that we have to abide by. They have people working on that cloud that ensure that we maintain those regulations and give us the updates, notice what we have to do so we would never fall behind. And that's a cloud we want to go to. So we successfully created a place. Then we prepared the landing zone for Arts Enterprise, and then we actually tested out one of our workflows with the court system's citations. It worked very well. So we closed out that project, and now this year, phase 3, we're going to be working on putting our business roles into the cloud so that we can move Arts Enterprise into the cloud, which we believe will be a safer, more efficient, faster working system for you guys. When I say cloud again, I'm not talking about clouds. I'm just talking about the virtual cloud, because there's a cloud out there, even though there's no cloud, but that's the cloud. That is my update, and I'm happy to answer any questions on these 3 projects or anything you have regarding Argus at this time.
Let's get to public comments and then we'll go to member comments. Cami?
Yes, we have one public comment. The original, oh, actually we have 2. The original draw will be followed by phone number ending in 731, which will then be followed by Blair Beekman. Original draw, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting that we talk about data sharing here and, sharing criminal information. But yet then we're trying to protect criminal information from, say people across the border illegally and are criminals, violent rapists, murderers, all the things like that. We sit and tend to want to hide that information. So it's funny when you guys, want to share it with all of the people that, live in the nation just already, but anybody that comes, breaches the border, commits a federal offense doing so, and then, commits other further crimes, we're not willing to, protect them and make sure that, to go after them and make sure that they can get out of this nation for committing whatever crime it is. And, it's just interesting because I'm in that database for going to public meetings at the Board of Supervisors and being arrested for speaking publicly and also being assaulted by a sheriff, which nothing was ever done about that. In fact, Tony Ray, sat there in the Board of Supervisors meeting while I was outside being beat up by Nick Gonzalez, one of the sheriff deputies at the Board of Supervisors. And then when I filed a criminal complaint about excessive force, Kelly Martinez exonerated him. So it's like, what is going on in this system? The people that are supposed to be protecting you are the criminals that are coming against you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's some kind of cloak of immunity that gets put on to these people when, so it's like we're letting criminals basically wreak havoc, and then people that are innocent get put into this system and get punished for it. So there's a problem there when I can be punished because I was at a Board of Supervisors meeting, but somebody that crosses the border illegally and commits another crime is basically protected. We need to quit protecting the predators and protect the victims. But that's not the world we live in, and it's very sad to see what is exactly happening. And I also want to say,
Your time has expired. Phone number ending in 731, go ahead.
Point of order, is this item 3?
Apologies,
Okay,
what was
that's
that
my
question?
Is this item 3?
Yes, this is item 3.
Oh, okay, thank you, because it doesn't read like the agenda at all. It's completely different. Okay, good to know. Tony said the Argus info will be stored in a sheriff's building, which is much more secure. That's great, but does that mean the current building was not a secure location for the documents? That's very concerning. And then you talked about the grant application was not being addressed. Why not? Why did Oceanside and Chula Vista have to take care of it? That's also concerning. So I'm going to talk about what's actually in the agenda. Where is the Vision Zero plan for public transit? Because there's been stabbings and shootings. Women have been targets of harassment. According to a study paid for by MTS, almost 50% of people are choosing to not ride at night because they don't feel safe. So I'd like to see MTS provide a safety update of their system here to show what changes they're making and to prove that those changes are actually working. I also want to see the stats on the design of SANDAG's bike lanes. How many curb stop deaths or injuries? Where's the safety dashboard for bike lane design? If 54% of fatal and serious injury crashes are occurring on only 6% of county roads, why has SANDAG and the state targeted all the roads for speed limit reductions? Perhaps only 6% of roads need any changes at all. Maybe potholes are actually a bigger safety concern. Maybe a lack of lighted crosswalks are ensuring pedestrians get hit by cars. And if equity areas account for only 19% of the county, then why are those areas getting 44% of the safety focus? That's inequitable. What's missing from fatalities numbers is how many people were hit by a car because they failed to look both ways before walking. We all see the people crossing while on their phones who obviously don't care if they live or die. Just like Wednesday's border to Bayshore project, bike lanes update in Imperial Beach, actual data is missing. Maybe I need to ask leading questions like Paloma did to make a better point for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Blair Beekman, you may go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I wish I had more to say on this item, but I do not. Thanks for the words of Truth, who just spoke. I think she offered a really good list of public safety concerns that I hope, what we're using ARGIS for, seems like how to use ARGIS. So good luck in the efforts to really understand our local public safety concerns, and that, I think it's important that we practice the concepts of due process. And I think everyone involved with ARGIS, there is a certain pride in how we can practice good accountability and best practices in civil rights and civil protections with data collection. Yeah, I think we try to do well with that. And when best practices present themselves, that's good. I wish I knew better what those best practices were. I know, pardon me a sec, that we have to take that working through state agencies to find more detailed data collection information is an important concept that I hope will continue to be respected. Again, the process of due process, I think, is a really important goal to be working towards and respecting here in San Diego. I wish I could have more to say. Hopefully I can learn with time. This is a really important group and meeting to be a part of to understand best practices. And again, everyone's really nervous at this time. Good luck how we can make things clear and understandable and really good legal definitions. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Cami. For Truth, I think you were addressing item 4. That has the vision 0. So if you're still listening in, we'll be addressing that shortly. We didn't want to cut you off on your comments. It was your 2 minutes. Okay, any member comments on item 3? Yes, Councilmember Foster.
Yes, and I just want to, if we can, I just want to get a better understanding of the Live 911. And you mentioned it's a pilot. Can you kind of elaborate on when we call it a pilot, what does that mean? How is that being introduced, or what's the process of vetting? I assume it's a pilot to vet out the tool, I guess I'll call it.
That's a great question. When I said the word pilot, maybe a better word would have been to the initial setup. ARGIS's role in this grant process was to set up the agency to start with the project, and then the agency would maintain it thereafter. So our job was to do the initial configuration, setup, training, get the people started, and then launch them, and then the agency will manage it after that.
Okay. And I guess I'm trying to gather my thoughts as I get my question, so my apologies. I guess my next question would be, as we're looking at this tool and assessing its, I guess I'll say, value, right? And I guess, and I just hope we're taking into consideration the use and the access and experience of said officers, right? And I bring that up as we are looking at it, because I think it can play into one's assessment and anxiety as they are going into a situation, which may cause some unintended, per se, outcomes or perceptions, if that makes sense. So is that being taken into account as we are looking at this tool and assessing all sides of its utilization?
Like Tony said, we weren't a part of the pilot program. We just went out and invested in the program ourselves. It has been absolutely successful for us. I find that the newer officers are well equipped and well prepared to handle the technology. It's kind of our older officers that maybe adjusted a little bit. But we do not require our officers to have it on all the time. They do have to have it on their screen, but they can mute it. Not only that, they can also restrict it specifically for their beat or their sector. So they will only hear the calls that come out in those areas if they so choose. And we have found that they become conditioned, you know, when maybe at first when they're in training, it maybe gets their heart rates up, but by the time they're completed with training and out 10-8 on their own, they're accustomed to it. This newer generation of officers, you know, when it comes to technology and that kind of thing, they're pretty well equipped to handle.
Okay, and I guess my concern isn't per se access from a technology standpoint, right? I would agree. Younger officers probably are better off with, you know, how to use a smartphone and how to use a laptop and a computer and those items. But I'm just not necessarily in a position to say that there will be no impact as folks are hearing the call live and what that individual is going through and what it does to their assessment as they are entering into, say, the incident, the situation, or the call. And so that's my concern at this point, to make sure that at some point you guys are still analyzing that in your process in this tool, to make sure that, you know, as you say, the training, you recognize certain heartbeats going up and certain things, and just making sure that's part of your assessment as situations are analyzed in those types of things.
Yeah, and I can't say that we haven't noticed any, you know, increase in the emotional response of officers throughout the program. And we've had it for, man, maybe 3 years, going on 3 years, maybe 4. So.
Okay, I just think it's worth a conversation as we look at incidents at San Diego PD. Just when you're looking at newer officers coming out of the academy, how they approach a situation versus someone that has 6 stripes on their arm and as they're receiving information and doing certain things, right? I just want to make sure we're assessing all sides. I'm not saying it's not a good tool to have. You know, I can understand, like you said, it gives officers insight into certain surrounding information or something they may hear that gives them some additional information as they're entering into a call. So I just want to make sure we're not losing sight of outcomes and potential, as we say, unintended circumstances that are faced out when calls are being made. So, okay, thank you.
Councilor Foster and Chief Aldevinos and Vice Chair has a comment. Yes, sir.
Maybe just to elaborate on this as well. This is a fire perspective, but still an emergency response. I just want to see if this is very similar with the way I perceive it. So, so for my time when I've been responding, a lot of times, the beauty of dispatchers is that they'll receive some of the most traumatic calls. And then when they want to interpret to us as officers or fire, it's in a very stoic and calm response. So I'm talking like the biggest tragedies on the planet. You can even hear the dispatch on like 9/11, right? And they're still calm and cool through that process. And if you were to just hear what fire would be in 9/11 and then you show up, you're like, whoa, totally different dynamics. So can you guys reinforce to me when you guys have been using this tool that now you get context between a very stoic professional dispatcher and then you feel what the environment's going to be like going in? Because sometimes I'll respond and I go, I was not prepared for this. She was way too cool, the dispatcher, and now I gotta like take my actions completely differently, or I have to go in there and I'm over prepared, almost like what you're concerned about, right, council members? Like you go in there and I get too hot and heavy because of only what I've read and only what a calm dispatcher said, but the incident could be far differently. So is that what is that the benefit that you're getting? Is now you're getting context on scene prior to getting on scene?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a difference between reading a text and interpreting what you think is going on and actually hearing it live. And it prepares you as you're going in. And we train our officers that, you know, when you hear that that call, that you prepare yourself emotionally, mentally to go into that specific situation. But you're absolutely correct.
Councilmember Foster, please.
And I guess I'm working on the opposite end, right? I understand the value of the officer, so I said it's good for them to hear certain things, but I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of the experience of the officer and them hearing what they're hearing, right? Understanding that someone is calling in a very distressed situation and how they interpret that based on the experience level that they have on the job at the time, to where as a more experienced officer is listening to it, they assess it, right? Take it in, assess, show up at the incident, move accordingly, to where someone that's less experienced hears the same information, assesses it, and they come in at a very heightened scenario versus what a more experienced officer may do. So I think what I'm saying is somewhere in there, I'm sure there's a balance on all sides. I just want to make sure as an agency that monitoring that is part of the process to see even how you need to adjust your training as individuals are coming through and things progress, right? That's where I'm coming from. So.
Thank you. I would just also add that in my experiences going back a few years, you have a 911 call taker who takes in the information, and we just naturally filter down and distill what's brought to us, then type a message to the particular desk that will dispatch the appropriate unit. And then that dispatcher takes that information and filters it, knowing, well, this is what they meant to say. The raw data is extremely valuable. And I think we don't give enough credit to the first responders to take that fresh and not necessarily compartmentalize it, but put it into perspective based on the nature of the call so they can anticipate what they might expect. So when they get there, if they're expecting on a scale of 1 to 10, a level 7 call, and it turns out to be a little emotionally driven, and they get there and maybe it's a level 4, they're still going to handle it appropriately. But the one thing we don't want them to do is get there and be caught off guard. So it is a training component, just like you said. And I think we don't give enough credit to the younger generation who grew up with these tech ideas and real-time responses. Some of our memories go back a little too far, different systems and different processes. But I think it's a great idea. We're not playing catch up on this one. We're actually moving forward ahead of the game. So thank you. Any other member comments? Yes, Marshall.
Yeah, I just have a comment for Director Ray. I've been a great fan of the ARGIS system since I first started using it. It's nice to see that the visionary law enforcement system that was developed is continuing to be a visionary law enforcement system. I go all the way back to where the 3 founders of the system were close friends. One was Sheriff Duffy, one was Chief of Police Bill Collender, and the other one was ex-captain of the police department, but current U.S. Marshal Bob LaFoon. And they put this system together with a handshake and a promise to try to have the best there was. And I'm telling you, from my experience around the country, there is nothing that comes even close to how good ARGIS is. And just the fact that they're continuing to be the visionary is a great thing to see. That was it.
Thank you, Marshall. And not to whip the horse any further, but San Diego is unique even within Southern California and the state. You're not going to find a system and a level of cooperation anywhere like this. So thank you. Let's move on to item 4. And we have a presentation by SANDAG staff Samuel Sanford and Jacqueline Sisk. They'll present the final regional plan, Vision Zero action plan. Thank you both for being here today. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. Thank you for having us here today. Jacqueline Sisk, myself, Sam Sanford, we're planners with the regional planning team within SANDAG. And today's topic, jumping into item 4, a little bit different. This is all about traffic safety. And it has been a while since we've been to the Public Safety Committee. I think the last time we were here on this topic was December of 2023. So we do want to recap a little bit about this. But the key excitement about this item is that SANDAG has completed the first Regional Vision Zero action plan. On a practical term, what that means is it grants eligibility for all jurisdictions, the cities, the county, tribes, other entities of the state, to apply for a competitive program called Safe Streets and Roads for All, It's $1 billion a year. It is competitive, so it's not easy, but now that eligibility is granted to all jurisdictions to start applying for implementation funds. So that's key on the practical side. We'll get into more of the details of it. On this presentation, I'll cover the data products and the pre-work that went into developing this plan. Then I'll turn it over to my colleague Jacqueline to get into the plan, how it was developed, and the contents of it specifically. Now, on the background of this plan really stemmed from a performance audit recommendation to SANDAG as the Metropolitan Planning Organization to support local jurisdictions with traffic safety, with both the collection of data and the analysis of data, and then planning for that. So with that information, the board of directors established a Vision Zero resolution that went over what Vision Zero is and also directed staff to make this plan. So what Vision Zero is, just a couple highlights. Really, we're looking at the idea that the loss of life for using our transportation system is not acceptable. That, I want to say, switching gears here real quick on that one, that we want to focus on the highest severity crashes first. Those fatal and serious injury crashes are the key components for Vision Zero. Those are the things that we'll be talking about as we go through the data itself. And then also it sees crashes as preventable incidents, not inevitable accidents. And that's a key distinction that Vision Zero holds. To accomplish this, we're really bringing in multiple layers of protection so that should one layer fail, the other layers can protect the traveling public. So those layers are looking first at emergency response with post-crash care. Then we're also looking at safe roads, so getting into the planning, engineering, and design aspect of it. Safe speed, law enforcement, jurisdictional ownership and management of roadways and roadway users, and safe vehicles, both for the occupants and non-occupants, so pedestrians, cyclists, others that are rolling along the roadways. And then lastly, safe road users as kind of the fifth category of those 5 layers of protection. So with that quick overview, dive into the first data product that we generated for this plan. And some of you have seen this before because this was something we launched just over a year ago. But for others, we did want to take a moment to talk about the traffic safety dashboard. This takes data that goes back to 2006. It takes data from SWITRS, the statewide integrated traffic record system. So every time an officer responds on scene, fills out the 555 or triple nickel crash report, that information is conveyed up to CHP. It is input into the SWITRS system, and then we download it and put it into this repository that's public facing. This is anonymized data, and we also go through a process of improving some of the location accuracy of those crashes. So it's more connected to our network and real world locations of where an incident occurs. This has more data than SWITRS has, than CHP has, because they have a limit on how far back they can go. So this is the largest repository of crash data for our region. And it does cover the entire county. In it, a user can come in, public jurisdiction, an analyst can come in, and they can filter by year, by jurisdiction, by primary collision factor. However they want to slice the data. They can also download it and put it through their own system if they have other processes that they want to see the data sliced or moved in a different way. In addition to the SWITRS data, this resource, it does have a mapping component. This is just a snapshot. There's a much more detailed map on the dashboard itself. We also include Federal Transit Administration and Federal Rail Administration crash data as well, because those are generally not included in SWITRS, where SWITRS is looking at vehicular crashes on roadways. So we also included rail and transit from those systems. This site continues to grow and evolve. So if you look at it today, and then another year from now, there will be new components to it. So just keep that in mind as we keep on growing this system. That was the first real product of the Vision Zero effort for SANDAG. The data that's in this site was really the foundation for the action plan and then the data products that follow. So the next data product that we developed was this safety focus network. And this is looking at concentrations of those highest severity crashes across our entire region. The region has over 10,000 miles of roadway. And you think about instilling that safe roads aspect, that layer for safe roads in Vision Zero, where do you start when you have over 10,000 miles to cover? So this is a way to help prioritize our focus. Looking at urban and rural separately and crashes by different modes, so pedestrians, motorcycles, bicycles, and motor vehicles. We did a moving window analysis with the project team, and we found that 54% of fatal and serious injury crashes occur on just 6% of the region's roads. This does exclude access-controlled freeways, but everything else was analyzed in this process. That helps us right away focus down on key areas. Now, additional prioritization is needed, so we did take in information from local jurisdictions, from the public, to further prioritize that, and that's included in the plan as well. The second data product is the systemic safety network. This is a proactive risk-based analysis of our safety, of our transportation network. The prior network is looking at past crashes. In order to be highlighted on that prior network, there needed to be a fatality or serious injury crash or a series of them within close proximity. We also want to be proactive and identify areas with higher risk, and that's what this network is all about. It found features that were common on that high severity crash network, and then identified where else on our network are there multiple features that are common to that. And that's what's highlighted on this map, is those areas that have concentrations of features that are similar to the safety focus network. So those are the two key networks that we developed, and we've shared with jurisdictions as well, so then they can start looking at their own infrastructure for possible improvements. I do want to just speak a few minutes about the public engagement. We had a lot of public engagement to help inform this plan. We had, obviously, we're going to working groups and task forces. We met with, on a quarterly basis, with the jurisdiction's planning and public works staff. As we developed this, we also convened more of a multidisciplinary technical advisory group, which is a best practice from U.S. Department of Transportation. So that included representatives from law enforcement, first responders, fire districts. We also had school districts, trauma centers, local jurisdictions, tribes, and many others come together, and so that we could discuss through in more holistic way some of the challenges on traffic safety. Throughout this time, we had social media outreach. We had an online platform for the public to identify areas where they felt less safe or they had concerns or near misses. And within less than 2 months, we got nearly 3,000 comments. There's a lot of interest in this topic. We're able to take that kind of information and help with that prioritization process of the safety focus network and pass those details on to the owning agencies so they could see within their roadway network potential hotspots based on comments from the public. And then we had many in-person activities like shown on the picture here, where we worked with our community-based organizations. They helped us engineer and design this safety pillars activity where the public can come in and put the types of countermeasures that they're most interested in seeing in their community, and then pass that information along to the owning agencies as well. So that was a little bit of a buildup of how we got to the plan, and then I'll turn it over to Jacqueline to talk through the content of the plan.
Thank you, Sam. So starting off with this graph, first off, I want to mention that the Vision Zero Action Plan is linked in the staff report, and it's also located on our Vision Zero webpage on sandag.org. So starting off with this graphic here, you'll see icons on the screen. And these icons represent every human life that was lost between the years of 2018 and 2022. So it shows 4,433 people that have died or suffered life-altering injuries on our roads in the San Diego region. This is the importance of why SANDAG developed its first ever regional Vision Zero action plan. The goal of this Vision Zero action plan is to eliminate traffic fatalities by designing and reducing severity of human error on our roads. So by prioritizing safety, Vision Zero not only expands on mobility options, but also enhances health and quality of life. So to jump into the plan and the final plan highlights of what we developed over this past year, the key word of this plan is action. And we laid out actions within this plan based on proven strategies for reducing serious injuries. So jumping into the plan for chapter 1, we get into explaining what is Vision Zero, its purpose, and its importance. Chapter 2, we provide custom analysis from what Sam reviewed in the previous slides for our 2 safety networks and the data dashboard. Chapter 3 summarizes our community outreach, which Sam talked about in our previous slide as well. And Chapter 4 details the role of what SANDAG is implementing for safety solutions. We laid out a roadmap for cities to make progress towards zero. On the screen, you'll see implementation actions. The goal of this plan is to institutionalize change in all that we do. So we weaved in safety into the typical SANDAG processes and roles, and there are 7 implementation actions starting from left to right, the categories being coordinate, advocate, plan, fund, educate, and implement. The plan goes into further detail for Appendix C, which you'll see a full list in the staff report. So for some near-term action examples, the first being fund. So we have an active transportation. SANDAG helps to manage 2 programs, active transportation program and smart growth incentive program. So these programs criteria have been updated to better align with the Vision Zero action plan and provides incentives for projects that are in close proximity to the safety networks that were discussed in the previous slides. The safety focused network and the systemic safety network. Points are awarded for improvements for safety. Next is Assembly Bill 43. AB 43, which is now fully in effect, provides more flexibility for owning agencies to reduce speeds on their roads. We provided technical analysis for this element, and jurisdictions have the option to utilize the data to elect to reduce speeds on their roads. But essentially, the material has been provided to those owning agencies, and they can make that decision. And lastly, we worked with local agencies to access a resource hub. So for the resource hub, we have a Vision Zero resource hub, which we created, and we worked with the local agencies to provide this online resource. This online resource is essentially a product development tool that provides the digital outreach comments that were in our social pinpoint, which Sam first mentioned, that we received almost 3,000 comments on. It also, besides the outreach comments, shows countermeasures or safety solutions based on risk factors and portions of the network. So for our next steps for the Vision Zero action plan, as mentioned, AB 43 implementation support was provided to local jurisdictions. The next bullet down, 2025 regional plan. Similar to the 21 regional plan, we had a policy element within Vision Zero. The 25 plan will have a similar policy element with insights to the plan's development and supporting agency applications for Safe Streets and Roads for All will be ongoing. And SANDAG is here to support on that technical side for local agencies that apply for this grant. This plan will allow for local jurisdictions to be eligible for the grant if they don't have their own safety plan. And that concludes our presentation. We're available for any questions, but for this next year, we'll be providing annual updates for all the working groups and policy advisory committees. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Before we go to members of the public comment, we will need to distill their time down to 1 minute. We have several action items we need to address before we adjourn today. So Cammie, do we have any members of the community that want to comment on this item?
Yes, we have 3 public speakers. The original draw will be followed by Blair Beekman, which will then be followed by phone number ending in 731. The original draw, go ahead.
Went down to a minute. It's crazy. We have Karens, but we also have toxic Tiffany's telling people what agenda item we're on. They're not even right. Yeah, I didn't hear anything in your plan here about, you know, the complete communities and what you guys' agenda is with that and how it is actually detrimental to people's ability to evacuate. Mayor Mento at the last Board of Directors meeting was saying that you would possibly be bringing forward some kind of an item to address this. So if you are, can you please let me know? Because it's very imperative that we really address the roundabouts and their severe impeding of people's ability to exit a location in an evacuation, as we saw in the fires in LA, and even the electric vehicle infrastructure that is being implemented or just incentivized to get even the heavy duty trucks and stuff. They were also stopped and not able to leave the area. So I think that is something that needs to be addressed immediately so that we know how to mitigate or stop that.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Blair Beekman, go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Good luck with your Vision Zero things. Vision Zero to me is you know, kind of like a guideline process, so we can do our own best practices. Good luck what you can be doing to consider environmental concerns. That's what's key to the process, I think, and build out from there. To ask the question, in the first presentation, there was a comment about the accident system where you get data from that accident. It goes to the state level and then comes back to the local level. And that local level is going to be expanding its services, probably with all the ALPR additional practices that are happening. That needs to be questioned. We're building a future of tech that's based on accountability and good civil protections. Prepare yourselves for those conversations in the future on expanding these sort of programs. Expansion is about civil protections, not.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Phone number ending in 731. Go ahead.
If you, Ed, you should definitely interrupt me and others next time, because if it doesn't matter whether or not people are on topic, that's another issue at SANDAG. Again, I bring up the Border to Bayshore project. SANDAG made several mistakes on it and were not held liable for them. One of the presenters basically admitted that bike lanes protected with concrete away from car lanes is safer. So why has SANDAG funded lime green bike lanes in the street? Why not protected on the safer sidewalks? They could even be separated from pedestrian use. AB 43 plus AB 1983 can lower speed limits up to 10 miles per hour, but it's not going to save anybody's life if they get hit at 30 versus 40 miles per hour. Pedestrians and bicyclists are getting hit because of a lack of lighted crosswalks and sidewalks. It has nothing to do with speed limits, which are not even being enforced. Most of the beacon lights that cities are installing are inadequate. You can't even see the yellow lights in the daytime. Are crashes determined by per capita of drivers? If not, it should be for an accurate picture. Did the public outreach include any events along the 67 corridor, which has serious safety concerns that SANDAG has failed to timely address? Sidewalk shut down, forces pedestrians across dangerous roads. Where's a real-time map of construction? There you go, some ideas. Not hate, ideas. Thank you.
And that concludes our public comment.
Thank you, Cami. Are there any member comments on this item? Yes, Councilmember Molina.
Thank you very much, Chair Musgrove. Thank you for the presentation. I was able to hop on the Vision Zero plan, action plan report. And I just want to let everybody know this is a very good report. It's very readable. The diagrams are amazing. Thank you for showing it in pictures as well as the data. I'm fascinated with page 13 and 14, which actually shows a diagram of the type of crashes that are happening. That you have data for type of crashes, and it's got, you know, whether it's a solo crash, if it's a broadside, if it's left turn, you know, the direction was left turn or right turn. It's amazing. Thank you for this information and for making it available to the public. I also I had two questions. One had to do with the diagram that you showed for the safety focused network. I just want to make sure that I understand the picture that you're showing. And I'm looking at the picture on my screen here, but I don't know if you could bring it back up on the monitor. All of the purple squiggles on there, that identifies the 6% of the roads that you're speaking about where the I guess 54% of fatalities and serious accidents happen.
And thank
So
you for.
this diagram here, those purple lines identify those roads?
That is correct. Thank you for your comments. And yes, this is, the 6% is in purple. We have it broken down for the different modes and urban and rural. So when we get down to a jurisdiction level and you want to have that more nuanced understanding of, is that segment purple because of a series of pedestrian fatalities or motorcycle, what have you, that information is available on that resource hub that Jacqueline was mentioning as well. So that information is behind that, but this is the full 6%.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, that's great to know. My second question has to do with the actual data about the counting the number of crashes.
Mhm.
Is this dependent on crashes that are reported? I mean, or do you have input on, accidents that go on unreported?
So these are all reported crashes on public roadways. So essentially, to be included in this analysis, we use that statewide integrated traffic record system. So an officer needed to arrive on scene, complete a report, and it needed to be on a public roadway. We did look at data sources that have additional information, but it wasn't quite right fit for this, considering we were focused on those highest severity crashes, fatalities and serious injuries meaning a person had to be removed from the scene in an ambulance or other conveyance. We have high confidence that those are captured in that Twitter system.
Understood. It is unlikely that you wouldn't capture the number for that crash. You wouldn't capture that, or that crash would go unreported if there was a need to have an ambulance there, for example. So I agree with that. I do, though, want to mention that I'm sure you're aware, there are incidents that happen that do go unreported.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that probably not if it is a severe one, or of course, if there's a fatality. But, just for the clarity on the data, this is as best as we can get, I assume. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this report.
Thank you both. Any other member questions? Yes, Vice Chair.
It's a question kind of comment. So I'm on page 38 of the vision plan. First and foremost, thank you. I totally agree with the last statements that you've made this Marine Corps proof. I can understand. If I can understand it, anybody can understand this. So pretty pictures and data driven. So it's a beautiful thing. What I do get concerned with, just my time in public safety, is the narrowing of travel lanes and the curb extensions. When they were first implemented in the agency that I was at, I was responding on those areas more, sometimes because people were unaware of the change or they were not used to the behavior of the changes there. What scared me the most was the responses that I went on where pedestrians felt more comfortable getting into the areas where these lanes narrow down and the intersections occur. So I hope we can find some clarity behind that, because I had noticed an increase at times. I didn't maintain statistics behind it, but I was, viscerally there on these responses. And when you see a lot of these curb extensions take place, I think the first thing you notice at times is you look down at the curbs and you notice how many tire marks there are. And so then that's sometimes the indicator, like had a person stood there when that tire mark took place, we could be in a little bit more trouble. So I'm sure there's a method to this madness, but at time, not madness, sorry, but I understand at times that the theory of the application can be great, but maybe we need to be really cognizant when we're in municipalities that it may not be applicable to those intersections or not, but that's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Fantastic. This is an informational item, but certainly encourage you to take it back to your jurisdictions and share it with them. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, and we have Director Ray present the ARGIS draft fiscal year 26 budget for recommendation.
The little boy chair. Good afternoon, Chair Musgrove and members of the board. Thank you for hearing this. To my right is Noy Lithivong. He's a manager of regional information services, and I brought him specifically to answer any hard questions you might ask me during this presentation. Or to help out if we can. Thanks, Tony. What we're going to do is we're going to share with you the 2026 draft budget for ARGIS. Part of our budgeting process is we need your approval on our budget before we can integrate it with SANDAG's major budget and then move forward. And what I want you to know is that for those of you that are new to ARGIS, ARGIS is 100% self-financed. We pay for ourselves. We receive no SANDAG monies to operate, and our income is based on fees that we charge our customers and grants that we receive. And this year, our fees, the fees are going to cover about 85% of our grant, and I'm sorry, of our budget, and the grants are going to cover about 15%. The fee structure is based on population and users. In the simple way, the way it works is we determine what our cost is going to be to operate for the next year, for 2026, and then we adjust our fee structure to match. So if our budget need is $100, then our fee structure will equal and grants will equal $100. So theoretically, every year we have an even budget if we spend everything that we say we're going to do and if we collect everything that we expect to collect. But we live in a realistic life. We don't always spend everything. Sometimes we spend less, sometimes we spend more, and sometimes everybody pays and sometimes everybody does not pay, just like a house or a business or thing of that nature. The way the fee structure works, it was passed in 2023 by the Public Safety Committee, but for those of you that are not here, it basically goes like this. We figure out how many users we have, and we have over 5,000 active users. Active users means people that actually use ARGIS, not people that just signed up and have an account, but people that actually use it. And what we've learned that we have three types of members, basically two: the charter member agencies, the people that donate data, and then we have the contributing member agencies, a few agencies that do give us some data, and then we have the participating member agencies. These are the agencies that just use the data that we have. We share it with them. All state, local, and federal agencies here in San Diego, 65. And when I say 65, there would be the charter member agencies are the 10 local law enforcement agencies and the 9 contract cities that the Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement services for. So we found out that the participating member agencies are about 40% of our budget. So they will pay 40% of the cost based on a structure for the number of users. The 60% of our users are in the 19 entities, the 19 cities within the region. So we take the percentage of the population of those 19 cities and craft the formula of the cost of 60. So it's 19 divided by the population of those entities based on 60% of what our cost is. That's how the formula works. If you'd like, at any time, I'll come to speak to your city manager, county operations officer, anybody, and explain that in detail. But we did that for a long time, and in 2023, this Public Safety Committee approved that way. So that's how our budget goes, how we're funded, and we adjust it every single year using SANDAG's estimated population in that area. Okay, that was just the background. Here we go. We break our budget up into 6 general areas: staffing, operations, administration, professional service, infrastructure, network, mobile area, software development, and grants. And you can see that staffing is 53% of our budget. The total budget this coming year is estimated to be $8,589,408. Our last year's budget was just over 10 million, so we're about $1.5 million less this year. Of course, the reduction in that cost is due to us reducing, we finished a grant. It was over $1 million that we were on, so that grant dropped off that project. Our actual operations budget, not counting the grants, was about $7.4 million last year, and I think it's going to be about $7.5 million this year. So it's very close to the same. But those are the 5 areas, and I'll take you through those right now. The first is staffing. The staffing budget is going to be $4,502,000 and a few extras. As you can see, we divide our time into 9 areas. ARGIS is budgeted for 21 positions. Right now, we have 19 positions filled. We have 2 vacancies. We have 7 people on our business team, 7 people on our development team, 6 people on our infrastructure team, and we've hired 1 annuitant to work on specific projects. And one of our vacancies on the business team, we've actually selected an individual, so we're in the process of bringing them on board, and that he should be on soon. And then we should have the announcement out for the position, I was told, by the end of today. So I'm looking forward by the end of today to seeing the announcement for the last position. So when this fiscal year starts, earlier on, we should be fully staffed for probably the first time in 8 to 10 years here at ARGIS, which and then you can require us to do an awful lot of work because we actually have everybody that we need at that time. In terms of operation and administration, $448,000. Rent is 56% of that budget. That's $250,000. Now, the good thing for me is the rent for me in this building was $250,000. And going to the next brand new, really nice new building, Rent is still $250,000. So I was very happy with that. The insurance cut is about 14%. We're paying $64,000 for insurance, and the insurance is Argis's share of the insurances for property, for employee dishonesty, for cyber liability, all the small insurances that an organization has to pay for. We pay a portion of that, and it's $64,000. We're also paying about $59,000 for professional services. In this slide, in this part of our budget, professional service means two things. It means one, we pay an attorney for a legal retainer to be on hand in case we get sued and we're going to have to go to court. SANDAG will not be the law firm that is defending us in court. They will help us. They're our legal advisor here, but we will hire a firm to represent us when we go in court. We also pay $47,000 estimated this next year, every year, to have an outside CPA do an audit, an independent audit of Argis's financials, and then provide that report back to SANDAG. When we get that report, I will share it back with you folks when that happens at the end of the year. In fact, my understanding is I'll be getting the fiscal year, we're in 25 right now, right? The fiscal year 24 audit I should be receiving in May, about 10 months after the fact, 11 months after the fact. But when I receive that, I'll share that probably back with you in the June time so you can see. And then, of course, we have travel, training, supplies, mileage, parking, and recruitment, rounding out the rest of the operations and administration. On the professional services side, this is $326,000. $26,000, that is paying for a consulting firm to help us with the Cognos application. Cognos application is not, we did not create this. This is a product from Microsoft that we purchased. This would be the application that your analysts that work for you would use if for example, you wanted to know, if you were in Santee and you wanted to know how many auto thefts or vehicle burglaries did we have in the town center economic area between October and January 15th. Between these times, your analyst would go into the Cognos application and create those specific reports. This is where you can customize, and that's where that pays. The other $300,000 deals to enhance our security functionality and upgrading our server infrastructure. And when I say enhance system functionality, I mean upgrade the existing applications that we have, develop new applications to support our customers, and update the software we have to meet or exceed the requirements that seem to go up every single year. When I say upgrade infrastructure, that means increase the capacity and the speed of our servers. It means to develop new applications that we will bring to you as we have new products to show that we're going to be sharing with folks. It also means helping getting us into the cloud, paying for a company that help us move our information and work within the cloud for the future. And whenever possible, something that we've been doing the last couple of years, if we have to pay a company to monitor or support us over the course of the year, we are adding into the contract that these companies will teach us how to do the monitoring so that we can end the support contract. For example, in my first year, when you first got here at Golden, we have a company who are paying $144,000 a year, $12,000 a month. They're managing part of our security, letting us know about alerts, intrusions, everything that people are trying to do, and they're letting us know. But we put in the contract that they would teach us how to do that ourselves because we have very bright people working for us. This just wasn't their initial skill set. So in this contract that I'm talking about will end June 30th, July 1st. We'll be handing that ourselves. That'll take $144,000 off our budget, and we can apply that to other things, either not raising our prices as prices go up or developing new products and services. So that's what the professional services side of our budget is about. Next, we have the infrastructure, network, and mobile. That's probably the largest part beyond personnel. That's $1.446 million. That is not a roundup. It came out to 000. This is broken up into three areas. In terms of equipment, we have $125,000 allocated to replacing or upgrading our network devices. Network devices grow old, age technically comes up, so we want to replace them on a regular basis, not drive them until they just stop working. In terms of maintenance, we have $241,000. Part of that is to deal with a network disaster recovery and security project support, so that if we were to have if we were to be compromised at the West Building and we couldn't operate anymore, our customers should have zero loss in service if we do our disaster recovery properly. Well, there would be the momentary until we came back on, switch on the redundant system, and then we'll have the information back to our customers using that. We would have to deal with the initial part, but our customers should still be able to operate. Also, telecommunications, this is the largest part. This is $1,080,000. We're talking Verizon for $400,000, AT&T for $430,000, and Cox for $350,000. And we use all three of those companies to receive and share information back to our customers. We're heavy users, and that's the cost that it takes to do that. In terms of software and development, we have the internal, it's $545,000, and we have the internal focus and the external focus. The external focus is investing in key applications and tools to support our law enforcement folks for their data-driven decision-making. We at Argus have created a number of applications for the region, but we also know that there are a number of very fine applications out in the market, so we also purchase those for the customers to use in the area. Internally, we create stuff. In fact, our two most popular applications, which would be Surfers and Crime Tracer. We didn't create Crime Tracer, that was a public one, but the most popular one, Surfers, we create ourselves. So we want to make sure that we don't just drive that same car for 15 years. We want to update it, make it ready, and expand it as we need to. And some of the costs would be $108,000 for the subscription and support for Crime Tracer, $165,000 for the cost of Cognos software licensing. And then we have this subscription support for many projects like the Esri mapping dashboard, the Microsoft Enterprise, the VMware, the Veeam, and many other things. And that's where this $545,000 applies to. Moving to grants, we have, what is that? Eight grants in play for the fiscal year coming up. 3 from fiscal year 23 that will be ending in fiscal year 2026, and then 5 that will be starting in fiscal year 26 and will carry on for the following year into fiscal year 27. Cloud transformation will be the next phase of our cloud, where we're going to be entering the business rules into the cloud so that we can move our applications in. We can't just put the application in and plug them and make them work in. We have to make sure that the connectivity and the logic between all of our customers and all the different data fields actually work. So that's going to be this year's focus. This is for enhancing cybersecurity. It's a $358,000 grant, and we're going to be buying 4 firewalls at about $50,000 a piece. These are very strong, very large, very powerful firewalls. And then we have to hire the company that has to install them for this and configure them and make sure they work with our system. I should also note while I'm talking about this, when we hire professionals to work with us, everybody that works with our system or touches our system has to go through a full law enforcement background check and has to pass the California State Law Enforcement Telecommunications requirements for working in the law enforcement data. So while we are not a law enforcement agency, we require those law enforcement standards for people that work with us. And agencies or we call it vendors that cannot do that, do not get to work with us or on our system. And then we have a regional trainer. I think I mentioned this in our presentation last month. We have a regional trainer, and they provide the training, not just how to manipulate an ARGIS system, but how to use the system for analysis and investigation. Moving on to the 24-year, this will be the 23 year is in process. The 24-year grant will be starting, moving to the next year. And cloud transformation is the next phase, and that's going to be paying for the cost to operate within the cloud. But we anticipate about $93,000 because there's a cost to moving data in and out of the cloud, and that's the cost. It's also a cybersecurity program. There's a regional trainer, again, disaster recovery, which we're trying to build up. And then we're going to have a machine learning or AI component where internally, we're going to try to enhance the searches that our officers do when they're either on a computer or they're on a mobile device so that the search can be faster, quicker, more comprehensive inside. And that's where the $1.32 million in grants go. My understanding is, well, many of you know we have a new president, and there's been discussions about grants and money and where it's going to go. Our Urban Area Security Initiative grants are handled by FEMA. FEMA may or may not be in existence in the future. I don't know, but I've been told, the Office of Emergency Services has told me that the grants that we have in play right now will not be cut. They will continue on, and we can count on these now moving forward. I don't know what will happen in 2025 or 2026, but these grants are still in place, so we're going to budget and work like they're going to be there when we go forward. That is a real quick overview of our budget. Again, I'll take you where we started. It's just the 6 areas that we had, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding this budget. Noy would also be happy to answer any questions you have regarding this budget.
Well, thank you both. Cami, do we have any public commentary on this?
Yes, we have 3 public speakers. The original draw will be followed by Blair Beekman and then followed by phone number ending in 731. The original draw, go ahead.
Do we really need this system? I thought, we were more about like protecting criminals. I thought that, it's not fair to people to share their information. So I'm just wondering if this is even necessary, especially when the perpetrators, most of them are in the government and they're roaming free, but they're putting systems like this in play to really, act like they're, and then have people buy the information. That's what's so crazy is there's like subscriptions to information about this, but you leave out significant amounts of information that could be in there regarding, I don't know, perhaps some illegal aliens or, criminals within the government. Like, judges, attorneys, CPS workers, social workers, people on boards like this one, the sheriff, Kelly Martinez, and or Anthony Ray, who knows? The list could go on, but it's like, that's not what it's really for. It's really to just, on the surface, look like you're doing some good work and spending the people's money. Good job.
Next up is Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. Sorry if my words were a bit strong on the previous item, to say it more formally, as we are, having to address our public safety concerns. We are going to have to address those public safety and technology concerns with a balance of good practices with civil rights and civil protections. That's just how the way life is. And I think ARGIS, to define its future, if they do that well, that's how they'll continue to be an innovative good leader. And that's how you describe innovation for the future. So good luck in those efforts. ALPR use is really growing, and we have to be concerned about that. And you have to be prepared as a board that people are going to come in and ask you what are better and better practices with ALPR use. What are better civil rights and civil protection practices? I think we have 15 to 30 days for some ALPR things now. How can that be improved? I think we can work on that, and the question should always be asked. That's an important function I hope you can understand. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 731. Go ahead.
Hey there, a $8.6 million budget, mostly coming from the cities and county paying their tax tribute. 53% goes just to staff costs, yet operations and administration says 56%. Interesting math. Rent is apparently $224,000. Is that at the sheriff's building, or is that including both buildings? Which city is not paying / doesn't see value in the service? Who is suing ARGIS? That one's interesting. ARGIS has 1,200 cell phones. Last meeting told us more than one phone is suspicious behavior. ARGIS machine learning integration, I was going to ask if that's the same thing as AI, but Tony answered it, thanks. Can that system determine who is an authentic person versus who is an inauthentic person? Ed, do you know what I mean yet? I have no doubt that FEMA is not going to go anywhere. I don't care what posturing, political posturing that is said, or theater shows. On page 20, you're missing an I in multi-agency. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
And that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Cami. I want to thank the members of the public for their comments. Are there any member comments on this item? Okay. Well, we have a recommendation to forward the budget recommendation to the Board of Directors for final approval. So I'd entertain a motion at this time. Got a motion by Supervisor Anderson. Is there a second? Second by Chief Valdovinos, Oceanside. Please do use your devices to cast your vote. Chief, I think you're the only one outstanding. You are outstanding, though, by the way.
And that motion passes with everyone present.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. We are going to table item 6 for a future agenda and move directly to item 7. And that will be the gun violence prevention presented by Amanda Brown. Amanda is the CEO and founder of AB Live Well. Amanda, it is all yours.
Hello, everybody. I know some of you, and just a shout out to some of the city partnerships that we have, Councilmember Foster, San Diego Police Department, City Attorney. So I'll share a little bit more about what the programs that we do is basically nonviolence through advocacy. So what that means is we really focus on human-to-human element touch. So I'll share a little bit more about what the Credible Messenger movement is, and really building partnerships from grassroots entities all the way to government, and the importance of being liaison and having people really foster those relationships is really where we believe that we can prevent and intervene in violence. So I'll share a little bit more about that. I know it's Friday, so I'm going to try to go a little quicker for everybody. Let me go to, so this is, we've done a lot of partnerships with some national organizations. This study right here was done with a local nonprofit called Youth Empowerment. We were brought on to be in a competition locally, I think it was about 2 years ago, and we had consultants work with us around what the cost of violence in the aftermath is within the United States. So this isn't on a local level, but we really wanted to highlight that a lot of money has been spent on the aftermath, and what would it look like to spend money and invest on preventing and intervening. For example, we have a program here in the city of San Diego. Some of you know of it, No Shots Fired. Henry's been a really strong partner in that. That's $250,000 annually. So we're looking at how can we really be a part of this number on the onset and how to reduce this with cost savings. So that's what this slide's about, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that too. This slide right here was a project also with Youth Empowerment with UCLA, showing that credible messenger programs can reduce violent injuries from 32% to 1%. And there's a lot more that goes into it. So for those of you that don't know, the credible messenger movement is really the premise that someone that used to be in a gang, someone formerly incarcerated, someone that used to be in criminal activity has restored their lives and now advocating for peace in their communities through mentorship, through something called interactive journaling, through even them still having ties to their current or their former gang members, and they have that street credibility still. That is a lot of the programs that we represent are those individuals going back out in their communities. There's a lot more to it. It's not just about them going out. It really does require partnerships with government, partnership with city council, partnership with mayors, San Diego Police Department, probation, public defender's office. So this statistic right here is not only about an individual going back out into the communities, but it really is that ecosystem's approach to foster trust that these individuals can be trusted and that they can go out and make a difference as well. That's a lot of what the agency that I work with, a lot of the nonprofits that I work with is under that premise. And it can be really challenging. I mean, I think, there's a lot of work we've had to put in, especially with through the No Shots Fired program, really building that trust. It was a rocky road, and we are on now a great path because it takes a lot of energy, relationship building, and really education around what the credible messenger movement is. And we've made mistakes too. Henry can attest to that, but it really takes I think patience on everyone's side for these programs to really be effective. So that's a little bit about this slide. And this was who did this study? This was UCLA that did this study for youth empowerment. Okay. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of what we've done, mostly with my agency. Like I mentioned, is the Credible Messenger program and advocacy. The premise of the ecosystem is building trust with nonprofits, government. So that's really like the ecosystem's approach. What is it like to, we do city meetings. What is it like to send reports out? What is it like to have police officers come out to the community? So this can happen in a lot of different ways, and it's an ever-going, I would say, process and system to implement all of what it is to be an advocacy with the Credible Messenger movement. We also offer advocacy training on what it is to really be, I would say a healthy advocate. I've seen a lot of advocates out there that do a lot of things that can burn them out. And I think in this field, it's really important to take care of yourselves and really look at what is it to be an advocate in the community. And there's also speaking engagements that we offer as well, just to really look at how can we keep the Credible Messenger movement strong, especially with the federal administration. There was a lot of, I would say the past couple months has been a little tense because we're not sure where some of the federal dollars are going to come from. So we're looking at different ways that we can promote the Cardinal Messenger movement and make sure that it is alive and well in the country and, you know, the city of San Diego as well. Okay, so this is just a little bit more in detail. I already went over that. The advocacy curriculum, speaking engagements. Okay, I wanted to go through quickly so I could be open for questions and answers. So that's the premise of what we do. And thank you, Tony, for inviting me to come out to speak.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Yeah.
Cami, do we have any comments from the public?
Yes, we have 3 public comments. Original draw, you will go first, followed by phone number ending in 731, then Blair Beekman. Original draw, go ahead.
See, it's interesting because the most death by guns are a result of suicide. And this is your ploy to take away the people's ability to protect themselves. And so if you want to get rid of guns, why don't we get rid of like all guns, like have nobody have a gun, right? But then you would say, well, the law enforcement needs a gun to protect themselves. Well, the people do too, because we have, you know, a terrorist organization called the government that is coming down the pipe upon the people. And it's sad to see that they want to remove their guns and act like there's this significant gun violence going on, when, like I'm saying, the most of it is through suicide. And I've known many people who have taken their life by way of a gun, and they would do it anyway. So even if there wasn't a gun, they would find another means to do it. So, you know, it's very terrifying to think about the way you guys demonize things and are actually trying to take people's ability to protect themselves away while making sure that you guys can protect yourselves.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 731, go ahead.
There we go. AD Live Well aims to shift mindset through messengers, government relationships, and coalition building. That sounds like lockdown era government propaganda. CEO founder Amanda Brown doesn't seem to have real life experience with crime or working with inmates. The board of directors also seem to come from rather privileged backgrounds rather than lived experiences. Maybe they just don't advertise it. But her blind belief that violence in communities is perpetuated by heavy punitive measures and is more concerned with what a criminal went through is very concerning. That's akin to being an apologist for the perpetrator at the victim's expense. I'd rather see all the violent criminals locked up so as regular people can be kept safe. I'd also support the death penalty. Media on the AB Liberal website shows that AB has participated in rallies with extremist anti-firearms groups like the Red Shirt Bradiers. Without tons of firearms in the hands of trained Americans, nobody can be safe. Have you ever called the cops for help? Depending on where you live, you may never even get a response. I do not support unproven theories just because people's safety is nothing to put at risk just because a minority either identify with perpetrators or have un-American views on the right to self-defense. Don't be a conspiracist. Thank you.
Blair Beekman, feel free to go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman. I like a multi-layered approach to address gun use in the state of California. This was a nice item to hear, good ideas. I know the city of San Diego and Marnie von Wilpert, councilperson, she does really important work on gun safety issues and what we can do about gun prevention. Yeah, you know, ideas of holding gun importers accountable, working on ghost gun issues, and what was described here is really important work. The city of Oakland has some really good program ideas that should be of interest to yourselves. Yeah, and being from the San Francisco Bay Area, it's good programs that they've been doing, and same with City of San Diego, that I think it's important work. How we limit the use of guns is important, I feel. I think we have a step ahead of Texas is trying to be overly liberal or overly open. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes our public comments.
Thank you, Cam. Any member comments?
Sure. I just want to say I know a little bit about the program. I know it originated in New York, I believe.
Which one, the Cardinal Messenger? Yeah, CM3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know it's got some great success. I know we were trying to start a similar program in North County.
Okay.
It ended up becoming the Resilience Program, very similar.
Through Oscar?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yep.
So I think the efforts that you are putting into this are great, and I encourage everybody to support the program.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief Aldavinos. Any other member comments? Yes, sir.
Just want to say thank you, Amanda, for being here. I've heard about the program with the Community Assistance Support Team, and I think it's the more people that come to the table and find creative solutions on how to address these problems is good. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. Nice meeting you this week, too.
Thank you, Logan. Any other member comments? Okay, so our next meeting will be Friday, April 18th at 1 p.m. ostensibly in the new building. The day's not over, but we'll hope for the best. But as we do adjourn, I think we should take a moment to consider how dangerous it is to be a first responder, as we saw San Bernardino Deputy Hector Cuevas tragically pass away. And for the members who are in uniform, you'll notice they're wearing their morning tape over their badges. So always keep fire, emergency, law enforcement in your mind, knowing they're out there doing the hard work and all the heavy lifting. And with that, we are adjourned. At 5.